Good thing I called you guys to come, otherwise we had nobody in the audience.
James is here.
Nobody?
I said you're here, James.
Moved up. He's in
Look,
the
he's getting
captain's
closer.
chair now.
We're just going to put a chair over here for him.
He's front and center in the
Whenever
prime
you're
seats.
ready, Colleen.
He's in the prime seats. The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town board. The public is invited to participate at the items marked on the agenda, public comment. During that segment of the meeting, if you have a question or comment for the supervisor, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Welcome, everybody. I'd like to start off the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all our brave men and women fighting all over the world for democracy and freedom. And also tomorrow, date is 9/11, carries a heavy burden of memory. We remember the heroism of the many that lost their lives in saving others. We remember all those who suffered and died. We grieve for them still, friends and strangers alike, along with the families and friends. Let us have a moment of silence in respect for all who were so deeply affected. Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add the City of Newburgh Water Department engineer, and you can mention your names when you come up, okay? I need a motion to make that amendment.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
We're going to move right after comments on the agenda?
Excuse me?
You're going to do it in the presentation?
Yeah, before the presentation. They got to go to back to their meeting. Motion to approve the minutes from the August 27, 2018 Town Board meeting.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None being said, motion carried. Authorized payment of bills, $39,119.10.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Paid the bills. Any comments on the agenda? Thank you. So, gentlemen, you mind coming up to the podium and just explain what's happening with this city of Newburgh and with the closing of the Catskill Aqueduct, right?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Jason Morris, engineer for the city of Newburgh. This is Wayne Brandenburg, water superintendent. Thank you for accommodating us in such short notice. So we're here tonight to discuss the use of Shaft 5A in the town of Marlborough during the upcoming Catskill Aqueduct shutdown, which is tentatively scheduled to begin on October 15th. The city of Newburgh water supply was contaminated from contaminants from Stewart Airport. As of May of 2016, the city of Newburgh switched its water supply from its local reservoirs to the Catskill Aqueduct supply. Ever since May of 2016, the city has been on the Catskill Aqueduct. The upcoming shutdown, scheduled to start on October 15th, will force the city of Newburgh to go on its backup water supply, which is Browns Pond. Browns Pond is a city of Newburgh-owned water supply with approximately 500 million gallons, which the city has every reason to believe will last the duration of the shutdown. There's actually 2 times the water supply that we need in that reservoir to last us through the shutdown.
Especially after
There,
today, right?
I'm sorry?
Especially after today, right?
Right, yes, exactly. It is currently overflowing, which is good news. So there are several other issues that could cause a problem with the use of Browns Pond. One is the possible presence of HABs, which are harmful algal blooms. If you read the news, you hear about these things.
Yes.
And they lead to contaminants in the water. The other issue that would cause us to lose some capacity in Browns Pond is the availability of the reservoir for the town of New Windsor. The town of New Windsor actually has the right to withdraw from that reservoir as well. We have every reason to believe that the town of New Windsor will not withdraw from that reservoir. They're actually developing their own groundwater wells, and they have interconnects with the town of Newburgh, which gets its supplies, from the Delaware Aqueduct and Chadwick Lake. So they should have, at the point of the aqueduct shutdown, double the supply that they need for their average daily flow. So, again, we have every reason to believe that Browns Pond will last us through the shutdown. However, we're developing contingency plans. The first contingency plan, should we lose the supply on Browns Pond, is to go on a proposed interconnect with the town of New Windsor for their finished water. So being that they will have double the capacity that they need, they may be able to supply the city of Newburgh with the necessary water should we lose our supply in Browns Pond. Our second backup contingency to that is the use to Shaft 5A to actually truck Delaware Aqueduct water and bring it to Browns Pond. So that's why we're here tonight, is to go over that backup contingency plan. So the contingency to the contingency.
Right, so you bring it over to Browns Pond and then you filter it?
Yes, we would discharge it into the reservoir and then withdraw it from the reservoir.
I got you now.
So this basically, is this just telling me that there's just a lack of a loop from aqueduct to aqueduct? Because basically, you're not hooked into town of Newburgh water is what you're saying to me directly.
Correct.
So, okay, I mean, I don't have a problem with the backup to the contingency plan, but I think this does show like a seriously lack of a loop that I think would benefit in New Windsor, town of Newburgh, city of Newburgh, and Marlborough, based on this. I mean, I think this is basically the biggest red flag we've all seen up here. And maybe something we should all work on, as a collective group with the DEC, with the state, and say, look, we should really be looping these two systems, because if one aqueduct goes down due to a catastrophe, or just due to maintenance, we're not going to be trucking water and living off ponds.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or which isn't a bad thing, because I understand, it's surface water and it works and you filter it. And the winter's going to be, basically using, well water, which is fine. But I think, in a long-term plan, if there was a catastrophic collapse of either of these, that we couldn't be operating out of reservoirs and ponds and wells. I mean, we really should be looking more towards the future. If anything, this to me is a giant red flag. Let's start working together on this.
I agree.
We're always looking as far as what if. Obviously, superintendent who taught me everything, he thought of what if. And right now, if he didn't think of that years ago when everybody laughed at him, we would not have drinking water or fire protection. So now we do, because he thought of that, 6, 7 years ago. So I totally agree with you. If we have, even plant capacity, as far as, a major fire at somebody's, somebody's plant. The sewer plant just caught fire not too long ago and really damaged the plant big time. If we had some interloops and connects, then we could all help each other out.
Yeah, I'm on the emergency services side too, as
Totally
an
agree with you.
assistant chief, so I totally understand what you're
Yep.
saying. Even our system's kind of vulnerable, as we have one line coming in from Newburgh. We have one tank up here. We've got Brooklyn Bottling down here, that if there was a large-scale emergency and a water main break, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, literally, my plant is rated at 8.8, so I can produce 8.8 MGD. Right now, I'm producing 2.9, so really I'm at idle.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of capacity there, and that's kind of what we're always planning for.
And this would be at no cost to the town of Marlborough. This would,
No, so, we don't have to talk about it here, but if you wanted some kind of intermunicipal agreement or just a letter of authorization to use the tap, it's raw water from the Delaware through the meter in that building. So we should discuss maybe offline about how that's built.
You'd have to make an agreement with probably
DEP.
Well, DEP is going to meter the water and charge
So
you
they'll
for
be
it,
meeting and
obviously.
charging you directly.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think we would probably just need a
I
letter
don't think the
of
board would
release.
have a problem with
Yeah.
either just a letter of intent or, what's the board's desire anyhow?
I would,
That
just
would
like a
be-
backup letter of
Yeah.
release or intent,
Yeah.
that would satisfy me.
Do you want us to draft that letter and send it to you? for
Yeah,
review? Okay.
and then I'll distribute it through email and let the board see it, and they could give me authorization to sign it, and so this way we don't have to wait 2 weeks, so this way these guys are feeling in a comfortable spot.
We're awful busy.
We've brought New York City DEP on board as well, so they're aware of the possible use of Shaft 5A. So.
Is there any reason to believe that it actually be shut down longer than they talked about?
I guess anything's a possibility, but I know there's a lot of other communities on the Catskill Aqueduct that would be damaged if that was to happen, and they're not planning for it, so.
Is that a new pulse on it?
Yes.
How many
And they have
times?
told us they can actually remove remove, the crews from inside the aqueduct and fire it back online, but it would take about 2 days to get water back into the shaft. So, we're just looking at all those what ifs.
Yeah.
How many gallons of water do you use a day, city?
I'm at 2.8 MGD.
2.8 million
Correct.
gallons times 70 days, is that, so that's why you're thinking Brown's Pond would be,
Yeah.
Yep. We should have 2 times the capacity we need.
We did the safe field at 50%, so.
We're trying to be ultra conservative in our planning,
Nothing wrong with
develop
that.
contingencies.
And you said you're from Morris Engineering?
No, my name is Jason Morris. I'm just the city engineer, hired by the municipality. No connection.
There is a Morris
I know,
Engineering.
we work with them too.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I'm
So,
good.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much, I appreciate
Shoot
it.
that letter over to me, and
Will
then
do.
I'll send it to the board, and I'm sure everything will be outside.
Okay,
Good luck, guys.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Always great to be a good neighbor.
Absolutely, we agree.
State Farm, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't get any, money.
is that all right with Charlie, I guess? Does Charlie
It's
have
like
a
that.
comment?
Got our taps going. It's
We'll
good,
get him up on
good
the-
exercise.
Charlie's gonna be up, he's gonna
All
tell
right.
us all about it.
He seemed to be good with his.
Charlie's on board with the whole thing, he's the one who initiated, had the first contact with them.
It's good going on that loop, Charlie.
I mean, I agree with Alan, though. You would think that this would be a big red flag to them.
It
that
is.
Maybe this is a good time to do
Well,
this.
I think they've been trying to develop
It's
this
just
for
the money.
many
Yeah, there was supposed to
Well, I
be
think
some place where they cross a new
Yeah,
pole,
what-
trying to connect them.
yeah, what this is now is actually, basically a good point for our argument, to say, look, there's got to be some monies to develop this loop. I mean, there's a lot of people's lives on line here, so let's get it done now. It's just,
Yeah, like Eddie said, is there somewhere where they're
There's
really
a place
close
in
where
Newport
they
where they actually cross.
come into,
More towards Gardner. I
close to
don't
one
think-
Yeah, well, it's at that area.
I believe they have a plan to try to get it done, it's just a
I
matter
don't,
of,
yeah,
With your shut-off valve?
I'm not sure New Paltz, I don't think the aqueduct actually touches physically New Paltz. I think it's Gardner it goes through.
Well, Gardner, Newport.
Because I don't think New Paltz has access to DEP water. The aqueducts have to be in your town to have access to
Newport
them.
has, that's for Catskill, that's their water.
Newport's is on the,
Yeah, they're like the one there.
Aren't they having big problems drilling wells out there and everything else? New Paltz? Are they on the system? How come they can't expand it then?
when Charlie comes up, we could ask him questions, so we could have it on, we could hear him. Wait, and before I forget, I want to, from the board and myself, I want to wish all our Jewish friends happy Rosh Hashanah. And the kids were off today. I just wanted to get that in there.
All right.
All right. Let's do the reports. Yeah, right there. Look at that, right on top. I would say it was pretty light. Went on a couple of vacations. Anyhow, met with state auditors and budget director Chris Wilco to discuss the audit. Actually, the audit was, the state audit was, it didn't seem like a big deal. They did talk about the water billing, and the differential, how to set it apart from the different elements of the budget. So we're working on that, and Chris already did that. So, and then we're waiting for the final report. But the hour-long discussion was pretty. It was good. The town of Marlborough was doing very well. We met with Jordan Heller to discuss the logging on town property. I'd like to discuss that. I was going to put that on the amendment, but maybe we could just discuss that because I'm a little confused what the board would like me to do with that. Met with the playground committee. We established who we would like to buy our equipment from. And with that, I started the paperwork for the $150,000 grant from Senator Larkin. I met with the MVP representative and budget director to discuss health insurance for the 2019. Scott wasn't available, but he said to go ahead, and there's no big surprise there. It actually increased by 13-point-something%, which is approximately an increase of $50,000. But we, the way we do it with the insurance, it's high deductible, and we budget for that certain amount. So far, we're looking pretty good on that for this year.
So just reminding the board, I'll not interrupt, but when you guys see the budget stuff come out, Chris said, just to, so you don't get a red flag, that it's gonna be higher than the 13%, because we had a bunch of highway guys retire, and
Yep.
we have new highway guys on the books, and of course, we cover retirees. So now there's added people to the plan, so you'll see a difference in that percentage, just, so if that pops out at you, that's why.
But they also contribute, Scott, right?
Yeah, the new
newer-
guys are contributing.
The new guys
I know.
contribute.
I think it's just that you added, I think, was it 3 guys retired?
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie, I can't name them off.
3 guys retired, and then you
Yeah.
got 3 new guys.
Kenny
So
Bolson, right.
basically added 3 people to the roles of the healthcare.
Okay.
Like I said, also, then we met again with the playground committee at the site, and that's where we established the person that we would like to see with the manufacturing of the playground. Attended the Milton Firehouse Lobster Bake fundraiser. It was a lot of fun. Everything went very well. I can, local fire department, Milton Fire Department, always does a great job. Thank you very much, Alan.
No problem.
Met with the commissioner, Fire Commissioner Mark Kalaga?
Siaglia.
Kalaga?
Siaglia.
Siglag?
Siaglia.
Siglaglia, I don't know. To discuss additional LED lighting at the Marlborough Firehouse, and then with that, met with representatives from Spectrum to transfer the wires on the west side of Grand Street. Actually, Spectrum finished their job. We're waiting for Verizon now, and I'm told while I was on vacation, I had a couple of phone calls for the Verizon people, and they have scheduled to do that. I don't know if it's weather, but they haven't done it yet, related. I met with Central Hudson Representative Nathan Jackson to discuss the additional lights in Hamlet of Marlborough, which Mark suggested, one in front of the fire department and one on Church Street, because there's a section there and the sidewalk is pretty dark. We just began today with Councilman Corcoran and the Budget Director to start our 2019 budget. Today was a relatively easy day. Tomorrow's a relatively hard day, right, Chief? Are you praying? And we did the Saturday with the Jolly Rovers. We're just about done. We have about 3-4 more steps. Just coming out beautiful. What a great job. And this Saturday, we had about 13 people, a lot of people from the Jolly Rovers, from New Jersey, Connecticut, all over, so it was a great time. I want to thank Cindy Lanzetta for supplying the breakfast. It was great. And moving along, Thomas Corcoran. Would you like to,
I could read it for you if you like.
are you going to read it?
I have it. I don't know if
Okay.
anybody else has it, but,
Go.
okay. Building Inspector Monthly Report for August 2018. Certificate of Occupancy, 6. Request for Information, 13. Fire Inspections, 14. Stop Work Orders, 2. Order to Remedy, 16. Complaints, 41. Burn Permits issued, 8. Total building permits, 23. 1 family, 2 furnace boilers, 2 demolitions, 2 pools, hot tubs, 2 sheds, 2 roofs, 7 additions and renovations, 4 decks/stairs, 1 firework. Total cost of building, $417,941. Certificate of Occupancy, 900. Request for Information, 1,300. Trailer Park Renewal, 0. Building permits, $6,767. Fire inspection fees, $800. Burn permits, $30, for total monthly receipts, $9,797.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
Chief?
Monthly report for the month of August 2018. Personal injury auto accidents, 1. Fatal, 0. Property damage accidents, 6. Accidents not requiring report, 4, for a total 11 for the month. Summons is issued, vehicle and traffic, 183 tickets, 1 parking violation. Complaint activities, total of 380 blotter entries, 38 arrests for the month. Total telephone calls, 1,702. You can see the attached for any of the overtime. No overtime for dispatchers, full-time or part-time. Police mileage, 11,803 miles, with a fuel consumption of 951.243 gallons. And if you remember last month, I didn't have a fuel reading. It's 1,225.9 gallons for July. It was left off. We did do traffic details for the pedestrian crossing. We wrote a total of 53 tickets in those 2 details. It's an issue and a problem, and we'll continue to do it as money will allow us. Just so you're aware, 43 were for actual fail to yield a pedestrian, and the balance was a combination of cell phone inspections and a couple of AUOs, no driver's licenses.
You know what the fine is for that
I do
particular?
not. Obviously, it's up to the judge, but I'm sure there's going to be a minimum, probably, I would have to imagine, a range of 50 to 125 with a surcharge of $90, because most tickets carry $90 surcharge now.
Were they a lot of locals, or?
I couldn't tell you, I didn't look.
I saw you guys doing it, though.
Yeah. We got a few complaints. Some people thought it was unfair. I don't know. One guy thought it was dangerous of us stepping out in front of cars and hoping they would stop, but I explained that's the law. I mean, it's not like they were running out in front of cars without giving them notice. One thought we should be doing it in uniform. I didn't get that theory, but whatever. So that's
I heard nothing but praise for it.
That's supposed to be.
Yeah,
good.
I didn't hear any complaints.
From the residents and some of the business owners
Good.
in town. But did you do both of them?
Yes,
By the
Yep.
bank and by the
by the bank and up by the
Amadeus?
laundromat, whatever that is up there now.
Laundromat, yeah.
The other thing I want to mention is I've been trying to find out if the people who asked us to move the speed trailer to where it is are done with it for the purpose for what they wanted it there for. I can't get a solid answer one way or another, so we're going to be removing that from that location. I got a request for Latin Town Road, so I'll have it back in service again to move around. So if you guys get complaints or anything, let me know, and we'll flop it around until the weather gets bad, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. Last thing I want to mention, we've been trying to get an intercom system for the dispatch office to speak out into the lobby and vice versa since we moved in 2014. Our local electrician keeps telling us he's going to do it. He never comes to do it. So I brought in a company to get an estimate. They gave me an estimate for a 1-module unit for $950. I thought that was insane. It was $253 for the unit, 4 hours at $140, plus that was, what do they call that wage? Prevailing wage. And they said there was a minimum of 4 hours install, and then they want another $50 for miscellaneous cabling. So I went online based on their estimate, and I found the unit for $163. So I bought that unit out of our budget. Sergeant Pascal, with the help of Charlie in the water department this morning and myself, we installed it. So we now have an intercom up and running for $163.
Thanks, guys.
And that's what I got.
That's great, Jerry.
It's a long time coming. If you notice
The taxpayer.
Couldn't work outside today, right? So.
No, and that's why it was a great day. And I'm glad Charlie could help us, because
I know.
Jerry, a question on, before,
Sure.
keep going if you have more, but I just question, and it's a dumb question, but we'll go into it in budget tomorrow, but we're over 10,000 more miles this year so far.
say that one more time. The mileage?
In the miles, we're over about 10,000 more miles this year, and we're 1,000 gallons more this year. What are we doing differently this year?
Just more details, more patrol, nothing special. We did have a couple of very minor trips that we went on. We went out to Pennsylvania to pick up the runaways. I mean, that's insignificant miles, but all attributes to it. Most of it's patrol. It's tough when the guys are quiet and they're not doing a lot of traffic stops. They're driving a lot. When they're doing a lot of traffic stop. The consumption of fuel, I'm going to base on weather. It was warm, so they let the cars idle. When it rains, they let them run, so they don't have to you know, they can just leave it in there and go, there's no fog. When it's hot, they leave the air conditioning on. So we do have a lot of idle time that burns up fuel as well.
And I
But our
noticed,
mileage is up as well.
I noticed on the budget side, and I'm sure we'll bring this up tomorrow, but there's a lot of line items that we budgeted for that we're not even close to
Okay. And we
spending yet.
can have that discussion
Well, I'm
today,
sure
or we can
we'll
have it
just-
tomorrow, but
No, we'll just discuss it tomorrow, but I wanna,
yeah, I've been talking with Jennifer and Sam in reference to those things. The way they're portrayed to you guys, it's not fair because some of the items aren't taken out of this particular line item that you guys are seeing. Plus, some of it doesn't happen until the end of the year. We go over in certain items, which we knew we were gonna do, and it takes from the part-timer or vice versa. Goes from the full-timer, or from the part-timer to the full-timer. Holidays is a big one. So yes, part-time investigations, things like the little subcategories, they're not always taken out of the line based on the way they put in their overtime slip. So we're looking to make changes to that so that the numbers that you guys are seeing are better reflective of what they actually are.
well, like on Dare though, like, is he not doing something that we're like?
We gotta remember DARE's split. So in September, the DARE starts
Now
again.
it starts, right?
From September to December, and then in next year's budget goes from December
Okay.
to June, so that's kind of split. So when he starts up again, yes, he'll start burning through that as well. So those numbers will change by the end of December. One of the big things I noticed was part-time and full-time training.
Yeah,
Okay, so here's the problem with some of this stuff. If it relates to a full-timer and they take comp time, it never comes out of the budget line until they use it. There's no way to determine when they're gonna use it, so they went to training, they took the 16 hours of training in comp time off, goes on the books, does not come out of the line that we've budgeted for, and in 2019, 2020, they decide to take the 20 hours or the 16 hours off. It'll come out of the budget in those future years, but not out of here ever.
so why
Because
do they
comp
take,
time doesn't pull from this line.
why
Only,
would we have them take comp time?
we don't have a choice. Union contract says they can take
All right,
it.
Can't
that's-
we restrict
Up
it,
to a certain number.
can't we restrict it to the year that it's, that
You
it's,
can negotiate anything the negotiation team wants
Well, I
to
mean,
do.
that's something we should definitely bring up, because I mean, that
Well-
kind of, like, if we're budgeting something for a year,
that's the problem.
and then it's
Nah.
4 years later, now that salary's more than what we
Absolutely it
budgeted for
is.
this
And
year, right? So-
we've talked about this many, many times. The problem is they're capped, I want to say the older guys are capped at 170, new guys are capped at 80 that they can carry on the books.
Right.
But there's no rules that say when they can use it.
hours that was, just the 170, 80, those are hours?
170 hours for
They
the,
can carry.
for the older guys, and the newer guys 80.
I know in businesses, it's usually, you've got to take it within a certain time.
I don't disagree, vacation falls into the same problem.
Yeah,
You know, these guys can roll a tremendous amount of time, 10 weeks.
use it or lose it.
We know
So,
They retired.
right, so,
20 years
you know,
later, you're getting paid for
they use the vacation they earned this year, they use it next year, they're getting paid at a higher rate.
Right.
They earned it at a lower rate, so I agree. Also, the thing is, they get paid out on their shift differential, so that if they take a week's vacation, it's more than just a week's vacation, because I have to pay a shift differential, not only to them, because it's their shift, but to the guy who's covering their shift. And we don't budget for the shift differentials on the extras. You're gonna see that tomorrow when we discuss that. We did make some adjustments. You're not gonna be happy with it, but it is real money,
There
so.
it goes again.
There we go. And then, of course, there's the wish list I'm
Don't
gonna ask
upset
us for.
Scott.
All right, that's good.
Thank you.
Good start there, Jerry. We're,
And what is Bunny?
I got it.
Jerry was Bunny.
Bunnies, Buckle Up New York money, grant money.
the grant money.
Yeah.
We're doing very good with our grants, too. Yeah, they've all been renewed and they've all been more, so that's good news. I got a report for the dog warden, monthly report for August. We received a total of 16 calls this month, including 8 calls of service from the Marlborough PD, State Police, and Ulster County Sheriff. Responded to 3 active complaints and/or cases which are now closed or resolved. We currently have 0 open cases that have been addressed but are ongoing or unresolved, so we have no open cases. We impounded 2 stray dogs, only one of which redeemed by its owner. 0 appearance tickets were issued for the month. They have no dogs in the kennel. They've had no dog bites. Andrew would like to urge residents to follow the town ordinance regarding dogs running at large. Also please know that there's a leash law. We've had a large number of reports of loose dogs for the month. Andrew McKee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you want to read
Yeah.
highway?
Okay, monthly report for July 2018 from Highway Superintendent. Roads, we continue to mow roadsides throughout the town. We did numerous catch basins and pipe end patrols. We repaved a swale on Orange Street with 7 ton of blacktop. We milled out bad spots on Peach Lane, Mahoney Road, and Bailey's Gap Road, then repaved all these. Drainage, we cleaned out a catch basin and replaced one 24-inch piece of pipe on South Street Extension. We replaced 160 feet by 24-inch pipe on South Street Extension down the hill by the mall to the catch basin in 9W. We finished by blacktopping this road cut. We repaired a collapsed pipe on Ridgecrest Drive with 12-inch PVC. We repaired a 150-foot run of rotted galvanized CMP with PVC on Briarwood Lane. We repaired ditch lines on Old Indian Road and South Road. Shared services. We mowed the landfill cap and around the landfill. We assisted Marlborough Hose by removing a dirt berm and blacktop area, then replaced a curtain drain and installed a new one. They will blacktop this. We assisted the water department with a water main break on Milton Turnpike. Trees. We had to clear brush on Old Post Road, Idlewild Road, and Sands Avenue, and chip this up. We trimmed and tripped trees on Hillside Drive, Willow Tree Road, Bailey's Gap Road, and Route 9W. Fuel usage, gas 299.621 gallons, diesel 1,012.121 gallons. Respectfully submitted, Gail Appler, Senior Highway Superintendent.
Did I get the wrong one?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh?
I think so.
That was the wrong one?
What did I read?
That was in August.
Oh, I got
You
July.
got July.
I'm sorry. I handed July.
Okay, we're gonna read that one? I was trying to
Oh,
catch
that works
it.
sounded redundant.
That was me.
Somehow I remember reading that before. All right, so here's the report for August of 2018.
I don't think I got one for
I was looking at it, I said.
I didn't have one, so Eddie gave
it.
me
I
one.
didn't get it, I didn't get it.
I got pumped.
It's okay, it's okay.
All right.
Stop him.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought it sounded familiar.
It's all the
right.
same, Eddie.
Well, they're always replacing catch basins. I don't know. They're busy.
It was a Milton Turnpike thing.
All right, so this is really for August. All right,
I
roads.
never even got one.
Oh, that's
All right, we cleaned out ditch lines on Idlewild and South Street Marlborough. On 8-5, we had heavy rain and winds and spent 8-6 chipping up fallen limbs. On 8-9, we assisted police department with lane closure for 9W over the senior picnic. We had to push off and cut 2 trees on Tiles Flats that fell the night before. We installed a 160-foot wide berm with guardrail on Ridge Road. We did some brush cutting for sight vision at the intersections around town. We continued to mow the roadside throughout the township. Sidewalks. On 8-2, we started ripping out the old sidewalk on the west side of Grand Street. We finished this on 8-3 and worked with the water department on moving 3 water shutoffs. On 8-7, we started excavation for the new sidewalks on Grand Street from Du Bois to Bloom. On 8-13, we started working with the team of masons from Local 17, building the new sidewalks and continuing to do so. Gas, 288.392 gallons. Diesel, 659.397 gallons. Respectfully submitted, Gail Appler, Senior.
Thank you.
More like it.
I knew
That's
we-
more like
I knew
it.
we'd get on board. Charles? Charlie Majea, good evening, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you. A monthly report for August. Water consumption total of 15.7 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 508,000 daily. Compared to last month, we had 16.3 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 525,000 a day. Compared to a year ago, the consumption was 14.2 for the month, which is a daily usage of 458,000. Summary for the month, hydrants, we had to repair and rebuild a hydrant on North Road. Curb boxes, we had to move 4 curb boxes on Grand Street for the sidewalk project. And we also fixed one on North Road. Service lines, we had repair a service line on North Road and Old Post Road. Valves, we had to repair valves on Mahoney Road, on the intersection of Mahoney Road and 9W. The storage tanks, we inspected, took samples and mowed around the storage tanks. The reservoir, we mowed and weed whacked around the reservoir again. And we also had to take samples for HAAs and THM sampling for stage 2 disinfection. Sewer inspection, we had 1, closings 2, markouts 4, gallons of gas 325, gallons of diesel 30, and mileage for the month is 1,800.
Charlie, is that HAA, what is, and the THM, is that from the reservoir?
No, that's for, every quarter we have to do for haliacidic acids and trimethylene.
So that's the water that,
That's water that is in our system
okay.
that we're mandated to take samples for. It's mostly about organic matter in the water, how it decomposes and it makes certain acids.
And I assume we're good.
Every quarter, we do all right.
How about lead? When do we inspect for that, Joe?
Lead and copper, we did, that's done in May and June because, but we just did that this year, so.
Do we do it
And if
like
you
it-
pass, then you get a buy for 3 years.
Do we do it at the school district?
No, we don't
Because
do
they
it in
do
the,
it.
there's certain spots where we have to take it that classifies under lead and copper. And, we have to go to certain residence houses that are built before, 1976 and haven't changed the plumbing. So there's certain stipulations that we go to. We can't just take it anywhere.
What about the school? They're responsible for their own?
They do their own. The problem with the school is that one time they thought they found lead was because of the fixtures.
Right.
It's always about fixtures when the water stays too long. So
Right.
they replaced the fixtures and
That was a couple of years ago, right?
they resolved the problem.
Right.
It was about 2 years ago.
But they still have to test every
That's their
certain,
mandate.
right.
But
So, Charlie, you also gave us the Milton Turnpike water main?
yeah, I went over about 10 years. And this is in Milton Turnpike in a certain section of water main. On my observing, what I did, there was 7 water mains, and it cost the town on an average about $4,000, $4,500 each break. So that total was about $30,000 to replace that 1,200 feet of water main, just to replace the main without doing any taps or anything else is about $125,000. And then again, there's probably about 10 taps, 11 taps, and they're about 3,000 or 4,000, so it's another 30,000. So the total cost would probably be about 160,000 plus to repair that 1,200 feet of water main.
And that would be approximately from where to where?
From Chestnut Lane to Clark's Lane, which is about 1,200 feet.
No, I thought we were talking Milton Turnpike.
It's on Milton
I'm
Turnpike.
talking, it goes from Chestnut to,
Not Chestnut, I mean Walnut.
he made it,
Yeah,
Wrong, wrong,
Now we say Chestnut.
wrong nut,
Chestnut's on the other side,
Yeah.
which is from our tank,
That's our water tank?
the storage tank, above the storage tank. That was put in with a 6-inch water main in probably the late 70s, early 80s. And most of our reasoning for these water main breaks are always because of installation.
So basically, to replace the whole thing would be 160 grand, is what you're saying? And over the last
Plus.
Over the last 10 years, we've basically spent 30
30,
grand.
about
So
30.
approximately $3,000 a year repairing.
Yeah, but a couple of those the last past.
Really, from 14 is when it started. You had one in 08, but if you go 14 to 18,
That's when it
Charlie,
started.
so people going up to Clark's Lane have water, or it
Well, it's the
stops at
last 4
Clark's
years.
Lane?
No, it stops just before Clark's Lane.
Okay.
Again, when we do have these water main breaks, there's only about 10 customers that are really getting affected, so
Right.
it's really,
Do you know why they went that way? From Walnut west for a little bit?
well, just before the storage tank, there used to be a pumping station where there was only a 2-inch line that used to feed certain people, and they put it in a 6-inch line. Also, by Mills Place, they added another 4-inch line. There's a pressure problem there.
Okay.
They were aware of it. When they did it, they put in 3 houses that really shouldn't be. The town supplies them with at least 25 PSI to the meter, but that doesn't really, they have to use auxiliary pumps. These pumps are all over the place in the state, but most of our customers are all, we have hydraulic pressure.
So what's your recommendation?
So we had 3 breaks this year in that, right?
if you go by 14 is when it really, I mean, you got the one in 08, but by 14 is when it starts. So it's the last 4 years, and it's 168, 168, 170, 178, 180, 180. So I mean, that's pretty much the trouble zone right there, right or wrong.
Yeah, it's around in that one section of pipe from.
So when you
like
go to
I s-
repair, you don't go do anything.
No, you just put bands on it.
So the
We
first
put
one
bands
went
on,
from
and then
2008 to 2014.
eventually we replaced pipe. You could see that there was about 20
So-
feet,
So where is,
about 35
yeah.
feet.
in relation, so how
Slow and steady,
how
we'll
far
replace
away is the
it.
lot of 168 to 180?
I guess. Not the way to do it.
It's
Obviously,
just
it wasn't installed correctly.
maybe 150 feet or 200 feet, so it's 1,000 feet of water main that would have to be replaced.
Because that seems to be the hot zone right there. I mean, it's all 168 to 180, right?
It's all like right on a shale knob.
Yeah.
So again, in replacing this water main, you're not gonna dig right next to it and then put in a new water main and then abandon the old water main. There's gonna have to be, you're gonna have to put so much water main in and keep it live all the time. It's not an easy process.
But that's figured into your cost estimate. Or is-
Not really.
Not really.
So
I'm
it
just
would
giving
be-
you what it is to replace a main. That's not this main.
So it could be more than 160.
That's what he said, that's it.
That's what I explained, that it'll be
Just
more
keep
than that.
break.
I didn't hear that, sorry about that.
And again, they blasted over there, or, because there's a shale knob there. When they put the main in, they put it right on the shale knob. Nobody really did any inspections of the water main. We don't have any records of it, so maybe, again, it's not the main fault. There might have been some bad, because we've had in the past on North Road that we had bad ductile iron pipes, and that was down on the north end of North Road, and we replaced the pipes, and for the past 5 years, we haven't had any problems. So it might be just the water main, and we've replaced about 30 feet of it, so maybe, hopefully, that's where it's been.
So it's
What's
more,
your recommendation, Charlie, after reviewing your data here? Is to wait and see, or it's a hard call?
what do you think the cost is?
My recommendation would be, if we're going to invest that much money, there's other places in our system that money would benefit more than Milton Turnpike.
Like where?
Like on Crossroads,
For the high school?
by the high school, there's 2 spots that I would like to extend the water main, about 1,200 feet, 1,300 feet, that would benefit the whole system entirely, not just
The whole Marlborough?
the whole Marlborough, the whole Milton,
It would.
because our one distribution line is on South Road, and if anything ever happened on South Road, there'd be a major shutdown, and the storage tanks would have to take over. But if we stopped it by Cross Road or by Llewell Land, we could divert the water in different directions, so that would be beneficial,
So how much would that be?
Similar, right?
similar,
1,200 feet, about the same.
about the same.
But
But
not-
there's no water main there, so we won't have to abandon anything, we won't have to
So it would
turn
be
off any
just straight
service.
run.
It would be just installing the water main, and
Closer to your estimate of 160 or so.
And we would pick up end users along the way, or?
they might
Came
pick
down
up,
Cross,
maybe,
right?
if we went on Crossroad, there's already 3 people that are on there, you might pick up another, there's 1, 2, 3, about maybe 4 or 5 houses more,
But it would loop a system.
but it would loop our system. If we went on Crossroads, also through Orchard Ridge, which is by Bellissimo, that's what I was thinking about. That's another, it's 1,200 feet from Bellissimo, and there might be, you only be picking up another 5 or 6 customers, but
But we'd be
again,
looping the system.
you'll be looping the system. That is the,
When you say helping the system, to what degree? The pressure or the serviceability if something breaks?
the serviceability, also, right now, we got like a dead end, but it's not considered a dead end. The water would be able to flow in multi-directions. That's what you look for in a system. It makes it a lot easier flushing. Also, maybe for fire service, it would help a little bit more. Maybe it might be a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, and it would also help, I mean, the school wouldn't have to close if that main broke. They'd be able to just shut a valve box off. and
So if you
continue
went on
to work.
Crossroads, I would assume you would install at least one fire hydrant or something?
It's per, they're really not for fire department, they're actually for their hygiene, they're for flushing purposes.
Usually, our fire hydrants are, they average about 300 feet apart from each other.
Maintenance.
250, 300.
Yeah, that's actually for, like, the fire hydrants came along through public health. Years ago, we used to take a shovel and dig down and poke a hole in the wood, and that's why firemen call it hit the plug, because they knew where the plugs were. They would dig down to where they dug down before and pull the cork out, and you'd fill up the hole with water and pump out of the hole. Little history there.
So, how does it work when, if we were to do a $160,000 project? It would be who would pay for it? The people in the water district only, right?
Well, we could put a bond for
Okay.
that road.
But they would be charged.
They would
You
be
know how
charged.
much it would increase their bill? Have you looked into that?
We'd have to take the $160,000 and spread it over the
Yeah,
year.
if that's a Chris question.
Yeah.
There's many ways that we could do it.
Depends on
Right-
how long
Right
we-
now, we're doing it in our usage. There's a water tax, there's,
If we did it there are two districts, right? So would that affect the Milton folks? But you think it benefits them, so.
It's gonna benefit.
it's gonna benefit everybody in the
Everybody,
system.
yeah, right,
I
okay.
mean, I'd advocate for probably the Crossroad
Probably
first,
want to be able to.
and then do the Bellissimo one second. But I think the Crossroad one first is, in priority, how would you prioritize them, Charlie?
Well, the reason why I said that we go by Bellissimo is because the water line is already on Plattekill. I'm not sure, I was supposed to do it today to see what the distance would be from South Road and just go do all of Cross Road, but I didn't measure how long that road is.
Can you do that for next meeting, probably?
That's what, my plan was to do it today, but
Not really, I get you.
I didn't, because I was thinking of
But I think it's- yeah.
another project that might,
I mean, I think it's for the betterment of the system and the town as a whole. I mean, I think I would support the project 100%.
So basically, on the old business, we have new water main on Turnpike. You want to change that? How do you prioritize Crossroads and Milton Turnpike, or how do you want?
Why don't we prioritize water district improvements?
I don't think Charlie wants us to touch Milton Turnpike. Is that what I'm getting from you, Charlie?
That's right.
like I said, if there was
Definitely not a top priority.
He's like, kind of like he's replacing the parts he
if I
thinks
was
that are
gonna spend money on the district, I would spend it somewhere else, not,
Where it helps more than.
Well, let's do it as prioritize water district improvements. How's that sound, folks?
Yeah.
Just make it generic, yeah.
if it was cast iron water main, maybe I would say yes, but it's ductile iron, one of the better products around.
So
and-
what do you want to call it, Alan?
Water district improvements.
Prioritize water district improvements.
Now, Charlie, didn't we also ask you about
Let's
the
just put water district improvements.
Yeah,
tree removal
gonna
around the
prioritize
storage
that.
tanks?
Excuse me?
Tree removal around the storage tanks, were you concerned about that, too?
Whatever you're supervisor.
Yeah, I was,
You're the
just in one
supervisor.
place there, in Marlborough. I was a little concerned about the air movement around. There's a lot of pine trees around our tank
On Western Avenue?
on Western Avenue, and I was afraid that one day, if there's a storm or anything, that it'll come down on our tanks. So I'm sure they were put up when they built the tank just to
Hide it.
provide like a
Visual.
barrier,
Yeah.
a natural barrier around it for visual, but nobody has maintained them or trimmed them, so they're getting kind of out of control.
So we ought to look into that, too, right?
Yeah, some of those trees are probably at least 48 inches wide,
That's
those
something
trunks.
Highways guy would be able, highway's got a guy, a tree guy.
Yeah,
No, you got to get done.
you're gonna have to get a guy in there with a crane
No,
or
I mean-
something.
One of the guys that he uses, so I'm
Yeah.
saying, Philly D or something like that.
Or Acorn, they got a crane now too.
Any other questions for Charlie?
No, but I guess, are you coming to come back with us with an estimate with that?
That's what
Yeah.
I was going to ask. Can you try to really get a real
He said he was gonna do that, right?
For the tree,
estimate
for the tree removal?
But also for
water main.
for the cross, if you think that's somewhere you want to prioritize, get us some real data if that's what you think.
Well, I'll give you some data to compare both of them. Again, the water that is, that's come up from South Road across Orchard View, it goes down Llewellyn, and Orchard View is already on Plattekill, so it would just be a short distance on Plattekill compared to Crossroad. I'm not sure how long that Crossroad is. It might be
Measure that.
2,000 feet, 2,500 feet, so that's the only reason
Give us a number.
where the water mains are. And again, on Crossroad, when they redid the road, we put 3 pieces of main, so it's already across Crossroad, so it's on the other side. It's on the east side of Crossroad, which also we wouldn't have to dig up the road or anything. They continue right on. That was one of our intentions at the time.
All right. And again, we understand everything's gonna cost money, Charlie, but we understand there's problems too, there's issues, and if we're gonna do anything, we're gonna have to spend money, so don't
No,
be
I'm
afraid
not.
to come up with an estimate that, if we can't afford it, we can't afford it, but let's just see what it
Again,
does
the
on
water
paper.
main, to abandon the water main and put a new water main, it might be even more costlier than just to put in a brand-new water main where it hasn't been existed. That's
All right, well, give us the numbers,
my opinion on that.
so.
Okay.
All right.
So we're going to do a motion to add water district improvements to the agenda?
Alan's gonna make the motion, right, Alan, to change
Yeah.
F?
Yeah, when we get to old business,
We'll
we can do
change
it right now, we can change new water main on Milton Turnpike. I was thinking water district improvements and in parentheses, Milton Turnpike and Crossroad. So this way we can talk about each one and,
Yep. I'll make that motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None being said, motion carried. Colleen?
Okay. Town clerk monthly report for August 2018. Burn permits 1 for $70. Conservation 11 for $49.37. Dog licenses 28 for a total of $155. Water services 2 for $400. Transfer station permits 3 for $105. Punch cards 36 for $1,600. Marriage licenses 7 for $122.50. Building department fees 1 for $8,532.45. Fire fees 1 for $1,000. Camp fees 1 for $125. Zumba 1 for $150. Accident reports 7 for $35. Certified copies 7 for $270. Dog warden fees 1 for $350. Park fees 3 for $900. Peddler license 1 for $250. Sewer fees 1 for $200. Jiu-jitsu 1 for $150, for a grand total of $14,464.32.
Colleen, can I ask you, what was the peddler's license? What would they peddler?
What are they peddling? Yes, is that what they wanted to do? Yeah, the girl came and she has to go see
What was
Jerry.
it? I'm sorry.
Water testing kits.
Oh,
There was
okay.
some company that offered free water testing. I'm sure that
Because they want to
needs
sell you a water softener or something like that, yeah.
Charlie, did you
Usually
take
it's
them up?
solar, so people with solar to push solar, but this time it was water, yeah. I haven't heard anybody that she's been to the houses, but yeah. Is that it?
So, like the board discussed, we did get a check from Joe Wiles for $600.
Yes, I just heard that. I haven't gotten it yet from Mr. Manisi yet, but that's good news.
I don't know what Mr. Corcoran did, but
Well, that's good.
I kept
Kept on him.
singing them. No,
well, anyhow, it's good news.
both the,
Yeah, he said he was gonna drop it off maybe
Vince
tomorrow.
actually physically has it in his hand, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if he has it, then I'll have it
Yeah.
up next report.
Councilman Corcoran, could you read the wastewater treatment facility?
Yep. Water Quality Management, Inc., September 9th, 2018, report of the Marlborough wastewater treatment plant for August 2018. The average flow meter reading of the plant was 136,000 gallons per day. The design capacity is 175,000 gallons per day. We use 78% of the capacity. The process is meeting all the SPDES requirements. Lab results show that we removed 99% of BODs and 99% of suspended solids during the month. Milton wastewater treatment plant. The average flow of the Milton plant during August 2018 was 30,000 gallons per day. This is about 54% of design capacity of 55,000 gallons per day. We showed 99% of BOD and 97% of TSS removal. The process is working well, meeting the SPDES requirements. Overall, both wastewater treatment plants are in good working order, but getting older. Yes, yes, yes. The collection system is being monitored and maintained by Charlie Maggio and the water department. If you need any additional information, please do not hesitate to contact me, Julian Falco,
Yeah, it's taken over.
the new man on the
Keep
block.
it in the family.
Thank you, Councilman Corcoran. Ed, you got that on the,
Yep.
okay. Assessors report.
Town Board from Cindy Hilbert, September 10, 2018. Regarding September report, our office processed 25 real property sales transfers. We worked on 4 property tax estimates. We verified the sales records for the month. Our data collector has been out working around the Willow Tree, Milton Turnpike, Clarks Lane area in town. That's it.
Thank you.
Just so you know, I always ask the dumb questions, so I didn't, 25, I didn't know if 25 was a big number or a low number or what, but she told me that's, I asked her via email, she told me 25 is a good amount. Normally it's less. Recently we have been getting a good amount of transfers, which kind of, it reflects the real estate activity in the town, which we kind of know, but I just wondered if it was directly related, and it is. So.
Well, related on the real estate in our town, I could tell you through what I've been learning in budget already, our revenue
Yes, I was
for mortgage taxes is way up.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Tom was here. I
We really,
learned-
I don't think she disclosed the.
Not a number yet.
Not a number,
But she
but
said it's coming
sales
up,
tax, sales tax is up.
It's gotta be.
More than we budgeted for revenues.
Yeah,
That's good news.
We need it.
that would have been,
Yep.
just look around.
Hopefully the bubble's broke and we're,
I'll tell you, just driving around, there's been a lot
yeah,
of
you-
activity. Just looking at Zillow, a lot of activity. So things are looking up.
I think, and the sales price is pretty stable, I think is,
It's starting to creep though.
yeah.
It was low about a year and a half ago, it was low, but you can see it was starting to creep and creep. It's been around 250. It's been that, where to go, that's the go price. But it's going up.
Yeah, it's popping,
It's pop, well, it's going back to what it should be, not what it was.
yeah.
We're not gonna have the 800s again, which was crazy.
I know that land, that there was development that was done back in the 2008, 2009, that is selling now, but it's not selling for the 120,000,
No.
it's selling, you know,
What it
beyond
should be.
50, 60,000 dollars.
Yeah, it should have before the burst. But it's good news.
Yeah, it's all good news.
I think at the peak real estate, if I remember a report from Behan or something, it was 57 houses, 57 building permit, like in 2006 or 2007, something like that. So if we look around now, there's probably half a dozen or more houses under construction. I'd
There
say.
are, yeah.
it's good though.
You don't see that for sale sign too much.
No, not as much.
You see it.
I wonder what the inventory is of lots that have been approved for development. Like on the north end of Latin Road, those houses probably been, those lots were approved probably 15 years ago. You know what I'm talking, almost at the intersection of
Meadowview on Ridge Road,
No,
There's
it
a
intersects
big-
with Milton Turnpike, Latin Road intersects with, on the very northern end of Latin Road.
Across from Ritchie?
The Polish.
They're building.
Yeah, so they're starting to build those, and those have been sitting there idle for
They
a
have
long
been.
time.
They got 3 or 4, I think there's 2 or 3
Yeah, so
more
there's 3 or
going
4
in.
there. That development by the high school, just west of the high school, there's 2 or 3 houses going in there.
Yeah, and they're, they're spec houses, and they're about 2 to 250, 280,
Well, I think-
somewhere in there.
That's the thing, I think the builders now realize anywhere from 250 to 300,000
Is the,
is the pop number where you
Yeah.
could sell them. Even with the tax base the way it is, that's the number you could
Yeah.
sell and people can afford.
Even on Willow Tree Road, where that, I call it the Tyvek house, the house that the
Sat there.
Tyvek Blue for 3
Yeah.
years on the side. There's 2 new houses up there, right?
Going in there, yeah.
All
That's
right.
Quaker, isn't it?
Quaker.
Yeah, it's on Quaker.
Yeah, yeah, it's not past Scales Hole.
Yes.
Quaker Hill.
Yeah.
All right, you want to read Mr.
Yes, Mr. Brand.
Christmas?
Planning Board review, August 2018. Meeting on August 6th was canceled. And then the next meeting was August 20th. Attendees were Mr. Brand, Couchy, Clark, Ms. Lanzetta, and Joe LaFaro. First item on the agenda was approval of the minutes. And then first item on the agenda was Kevin and Kelly Casey, 134 Idlewild Road, Marlborough preliminary subdivision. Public hearing for this project was scheduled for September 17th. The next item on the agenda was Wade Davis, 39 Reservoir Road, Marlborough, sketch lot line. The applicant received unanimous approval of seeker negative deck and a notice of determination of non-significance and resolution of approval from the board. Third item was Paul Gladman, 107 South Street, Marlborough, sketch lot line. Applicant will address several technical issues on their submitted maps and return for public hearing on October 1st. Last item was Marlborough and Hudson Circle, Marlborough, sketch site plan. The project applicants have identified new easements for the water main. The town of Marlborough will require dedication of said water main. Additional plans for proposed generator on site should be detailed on future plans and maps. A site lighting plan has been submitted. Discussion of the garbage disposal may require additional consideration. The applicant must address payment of water and sewer fees. A public hearing is scheduled for September 17th, 2018. Next deadline is Friday, August 24th. Next scheduled meeting is September 4th. Respectfully submitted, Chris Brand, Chairman, Town of Marlborough Planning Board.
Can't be it.
Got away easy, this.
That's too short for you.
Sure you don't have another two reports
Not
sitting
me.
there?
Cancel one meeting, so it's all good. Good and bad. Report of committee, Recreation Committee, and like I said, Mr. Weil is paid up for 4 months and met with Katia and to discuss using the, maybe using the train station for her activities. But it came up today with a discussion between myself, Councilman Corcoran, and Tom Corcoran, the building inspector, that we really should look at our recreation and how we go about charging. In other words, a lot of people are different recreations. What I gathered from that conversation would be that the way the process would be just almost like the camp. We hire people, like we would hire Katia, and then the people that wanted to join that particular recreation would come in and sign up, and we would get that, and from that we pay her. So we have to look at how other people do it, and I think Tom has good. I think I agree with him to a certain extent, or basically that's the way we should be doing it. But that's, I think, I like to put that in the hands of the liaison, Alan, and you're in that, and just to come up to see, how other people do it, and, I guess it's a break-even type thing, it's a service, or if we can make money off it, it'd be great. Right now, with the situation with the Tom back and, whatever, if it's a referendum or stuff like that, I mean, it doesn't harm to go the way we've been going. I ask for your advice on that, and what your feelings about that. Basically, so we have 3 people, I guess. We have the karate guy, Taiongo, or whatever, the karate guy, and then, Joe Wiles and Kathia. So,
How do you guys feel because we were, there was, I don't know how it came up in our meeting, but we just started talking about recreational stuff, and do we want to, how are we going to move forward with recreation? Are we going to offer things like the school district offers to, they put out their flyer, and they have about 10 different items in there that people could sign up for like at the school district, whatever it might be. It's through the school, people pay the school pays the instructor. That's how typically most things are run.
Yes.
In our situation, it was kind of like when we first started this whole thing, it was kind of like, how do we get recreation out into the community, and how do we do it at the lowest cost to us? We had a building to use, and this is how we move forward on it. And it works, but I do agree with Tom that probably we should, if we're gonna really do recreational stuff, we gotta come up with a better system that we have control. My brother, Tom.
Tom Corcoran, okay.
So I think maybe we have to have better control, like the camp, something of that nature. It's just then how do we collect the monies, right?
Yeah.
That's how the million-dollar question, are we hiring someone to collect monies? Are we, like he said, maybe you set up 3 nights a week that someone is there and you pay like punch cards kind of for classes? I don't know, it would be a whole thing we'd have to really work out.
I think that's,
It's a really,
you know,
not
it's-
as easy as you
Set up a rec
maybe
coordinator.
what I feel is that Alan and Scott, you should come back maybe, whatever you feel, in 2 weeks and talk, you know, during our workshop and saying, you know, I know the town of Newburgh, which is a big town, grant you.
Yeah.
They have
They
a
have
very
very good-
vital recreation that, actually they make money on it, but,
Chadwick Lakes.
you know, I don't know if we're gonna meet with Larry Cavazza tomorrow to see how their portal works. You know, we got into this whole thing because their procedure is that you have to be a 501(c), and you have to be all this, and there's some
basically, I mean,
dialogue going, some people don't do that,
Yeah.
and we don't know
Yeah.
how they get away with it, but,
Who's,
yeah, I mean,
has to
basically,
be
that's the way the school does it?
yeah.
if you wanna use the
Because
school
they give
district,
the town- they give
technically,
the-
unless you pay for it, you gotta be
That's the
not-for-profit.
one
You
with
can be
the-
for profit, but you're supposed to pay.
Okay.
So the town has an account with the school district. We are obviously a non-for-profit. We can utilize the space if we need it for activities or meetings or things of that nature. It's not a problem. The problem is if we did something like Zumba was there for a period of time, or these people were there for a period of time, they can't be charging people in the gymnasium of a school district and then someone keeping the money. It would have to go through the town 100%.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
It'd be just like we just said, we'd have to hire an instructor, we'd have to pay them, and people would have to pay us for those classes.
Like the school district.
Like the school district
I
does.
kind of like that model. It's kind
So,
of cleaner. right?
Yeah, it's a cleaner procedure, so that's what we gotta talk to Larry about tomorrow, is that actually the procedure?
We get that procedure.
Larry Cavazza is the one who oversees all the
right,
buildings,
Let's
so.
talk about it. 2 weeks.
Next meeting.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that with Larry tomorrow. Maybe you could look into it, how other people do it, or, you know, it sounds like that's the right way to go.
I agree, Newburgh kind of does have seems to
Yeah,
have a
they
good
do.
system, yeah.
Anything on Emergency Management Preparedness Committee?
No big updates.
You ready for the storm?
I hope,
Hopefully.
not as much as North Carolina and South Carolina have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those folks. That's gonna be a big one.
We're gonna meet with, we have a draft from Matt on the design guidelines, so we're gonna meet in,
October.
I think, November,
Or you move to November?
or, yeah, October or November.
Yeah.
I forget what
Not
Cynthia
this month
said.
anyway. that's-
But we have to review that, and so we're there. We just have to review his comments. On the IT committee, I think we're almost there with the TVs.
Yeah, everything's in, right?
Yeah.
Everything's in, all the
Notebooks.
stuff's here, he's setting up the schedule, right? Mike said for possibly by the end of this month. We should have everything installed in here, the Chromebooks are in for us, their actual team is actually setting them up for us.
Yep.
So they were all ready to go, but everything's in, so hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have a whole
Big
new setup in
TVs.
here. We'll have none of this paper in front of us.
All
I
right.
think that's great, because I think it's gonna be, I mean, it'll benefit us, but the visual part of the planning board, actually, people actually seeing,
Benefit for
you know, the public presentation of what actually
No, I
is
think it's
happening,
great.
instead of the little easel with the little drawings on
Yeah,
it.
I think it works out good. I think it takes us paperless, which is even better.
Yeah.
Like,
It's gonna be a learning experience for
Sure.
all of us.
the kids are getting them Thursday night.
you know.
Yep, they get them in school, so.
Wow.
Yeah, school's
That's
getting
nice.
6 through 8.
Okay.
Really?
Thanks, 7.
That's cool.
Yeah, all the kids get them in school now.
Really?
Actually, no,
Do they have to
7th
keep them in
through, like,
school, or
Philip High
can they
School,
take them
something
home?
like that.
They could take them home, but you gotta,
Got insurance.
like we did, we buy insurance in
Oh,
case
really?
they break.
Yeah.
And when they're in school, they obviously, or when they're on them, they're only able to access certain
Yeah, it's all
sites.
filtered.
Everything else is blocked, so it's a good thing, you
That
know?
is
My kids all have their own tablets.
21st
Yeah.
century, baby.
Yeah,
It's for the kids who don't.
sometimes.
On the Milton train station, they have a committee that's planning on October the 20th for Senator Larkin and all the donors and whoever.
Open house?
What
Sort of an open house.
what time is
Excuse me?
that?
Sort of an open house?
I don't know what exactly they're planning, but it's not gonna be a
Yeah.
real,
We couldn't make it.
it's gonna be a pretty low key
Fly out the next morning.
type thing.
Is that, you know what time that's gonna be out?
I think it's gonna be, I don't know, I shouldn't say, I don't wanna commit.
Okay.
But I think it's gonna be mid-afternoon,
What
which
day?
was good for Senator Larkin.
What day is it?
The 20th,
Sunday?
October? Milton Landing Citizens Committee.
Still have a bunch of rocks leading in there. That's about it.
So I took care of
Oh,
the
the
tree
tree?
before
Yeah, I went down.
Gail got it.
Well, I saw it. I went down this weekend. I was in Florida when he got a hold of me.
Yeah.
He probably won't make it. He girdled it pretty good.
And the steps are almost done. One
Yeah, they look
more
good.
good week, Saturday, with the Jolly Rogers. The steps look beautiful.
Yeah,
You
they
gotta
do.
see 'em. There are quite a few bunch of steps. I think that was the right way to go when we chose that way to go with
Yeah.
them, with the stone.
Looks
Just
natural.
fits beautiful. You gotta go check it out there, Chief.
I
It's
will.
really good. And the Milton Landing, actually, you know, we're waiting for, when does the CFA results come in? At the end of December?
December.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Christmas present.
Anything on the Economic Development Committee? We kind of,
Well, the big thing there, I guess, would be the St. Mary's parking lot.
okay.
Well, do we want to discuss, I mean, that letter was kind of like we were discussing today, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah, we-
mean,
we can-
we could discuss, it's on the, I have it on the correspondence, but we could talk about it now, because,
It was weird, they asked questions, but then at the end kind of sounded like they weren't for it after they asked all.
No, they're
Would
not,
you-
they're definitely not for it. They're not gonna be for it. We have to convince them to be for it. I don't think they're gonna be for it, but
But are they talking about, they want part of this lot to be municipal and part of the lot to be theirs, or
they want it all.
or they want it
I
all?
don't think we ever talked about making it municipal. We just,
Just for the
we
trail?
want a few spaces for the trail. I didn't think we were gonna make it a municipal park.
But that whole lot is
Theirs.
considered theirs and I guess
Well,
ours
yeah,
now.
they own half of it, St. Mary's, and.
But they actually own part of it, right?
Yeah, they do. They own the north part.
They must own this part. If this is Tilcon's part, they must own this part.
Yeah, they own the north part.
So they own the
Tilcon
north
owns the
part,
south part.
Right,
And this is,
Tilcon part is.
Yeah,
is
like
very
0.3
small piece.
acres.
So.
That's the one in
another-
question.
That's a really good question.
So.
like what I'm saying is that enough, like if this is Tilcon's,
Do they own it? They actually own
if
it?
They
they
own it,
own
yeah.
that, then
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
is that something where that's theirs and then this is ours? I mean,
Yes, but that is also leased
that's
to
also
them.
their lease too.
Leased to them, right.
So can I make
I
a
forgot about
suggestion, see if what the board agrees, that I set up a meeting and I ask Councilman Baker and myself to talk to Father Tom?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we could come up with all the questions about the stone wall, how high it is, what, what we're talking about. And, hopefully, we could ask them then that, the whole thing that I agree with all the recommendations that you put into the budget, but if we can't build, if we,
Right, if we can't do
If we
it,
can't have that, it's not gonna be a gateway.
no, but we
Well,
gotta
where,
keep
are we
trying.
still, are we still looking for the gateway to be there?
Yep.
Yeah, we
So
got
right-
that now.
Right here,
here,
and
right?
Yeah.
and a
And then
stone
the
wall with breaks in. Of course, we're gonna make exit
but-
entrance.
Yeah,
We're not gonna put a stone wall.
I know, I saw that too, I was kinda
I'm
laughing.
friendly with
I don't know who wrote this, but.
But this is where it is, it's on the southern side, right?
Yes, yes, and you come down so you can see it, and the trees.
Yeah,
whenever I go.
I saw the rendering once, I just wanted to make sure that was still the same, because
We haven't changed it, no. Yeah, I would like to,
Okay, and just make a recommendation that he's gonna,
Talk to Father before.
talk to Father Tom just to clear the air before we go.
Yep.
we're not trying to do anything malicious.
And
I think it would look nice.
We're trying to improve the town, right?
Maybe that's, take that.
Meet me in Marlborough, anything with Meet Me in Marlborough, Howard?
Meet me in Marlborough, other than
How they doing
the
with
new
moving,
brochure that they released last month, we know about that. I haven't really, I
They
don't
got
know
the
anything
farmer's
new.
market going.
Farmer's market's going fine as far as I know.
What day are they doing that, harvest in October?
I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard
They
anything.
do
Have you?
that, they have done the West Valley Fest.
I know Sheila's probably trying to,
Last year, did
Have
they
somebody
the
else do
Bounty
it.
Fest last year?
they had
They
something.
did, it was
Yeah.
kinda moderate.
Bounty Fest, they did it last year?
Yeah, they did. Right, I have not heard a thing from them.
And we talked a little today.
I
about
mean-
Young's camp.
Camp.
That's
Right,
still
I mean,
going on.
they're involved in that a little bit, but I really don't know exactly who's involved in that, so, I haven't heard anything about that either. Have you? Have you guys?
I haven't heard anything.
No, I haven't.
Well, we talked a little bit with the historian, and he said he's gone up there a couple of times, and it's in pretty rough shape.
Matt?
Tom,
The historian is,
Tom
he
Sherrill?
said he was in it. It's only being held together because there's a big metal beam thing that they put in the middle, so it doesn't fall apart. He said it's
gonna be tough
actually in
to
pretty rough shape. but-
Yeah, I would certainly imagine it would be, so,
well,
I mean,
good luck.
they were supposed to get a meeting with Mr. Sussman, and I don't know. I mean, if you want, I can follow up with Chris and find out what's going on. I'll do that.
Or I could call Mr. Sussman. Because that's one of his conditionals.
November, he's gonna start.
I think he said you could go and take anything you want.
Unless he has to get rid of.
Hammer the Milton Associate Committee, and I think those flowers are getting drowned, man.
Yeah, no one's gonna have to water
They look
them all week.
beautiful when the sun's out.
Yeah, they did a really good job this year. Really good job.
Transfer Station Review Committee,
Well, nothing really, since, I told you guys, I had contacted New Paltz to get some information about their so-called franchise, which is not really a franchise, it's a licensing agreement. When I spoke to the fellow, it wasn't really absolutely the right thing to, everything wasn't rosy and positive, so I think we ought to approach, if we were to go that route, we'd do that slowly. I think what I'd like to do is maybe invite Alan, some of the local haulers to one of our meetings to get their perspective on things. In fact, I mentioned it to one of the local haulers. What do you guys think of that?
I can probably pretty much tell you what they're gonna say already, but,
We know what we're gonna say, but,
yeah, I mean, I don't think we're
well, at least we
necessarily
gotta, I think we have to ask them, right? Get their opinion.
Do you guys
That was
think-
my
Do you
point.
guys think, like, your committee that you've met with, are they looking at, they think this is where they want to go? I know one particular person definitely.
Yeah, I
There's
think there's
100%
one very
support.
vocal person who's not here tonight would like to go that way, and then,
yeah.
and
I
then
mean,
the rest of us are in the middle or maybe on the other side.
yeah,
Right.
I'm starting to have some different, my opinion's starting to change a little bit. I'm wondering if there's maybe more control we can grasp over the trucks on the roadway, such as limited times that they could be on there.
That's what I would thought, if we could get a hauler in here and ask him those kinds of questions. I mean,
think-
this is what we want to do,
I
but,
think we should know, I think we should know what our limits and our boundaries are dealing with county and town roads. Mostly, we're more responsible for the town roads. We're putting up limits that say, hey, this is a weight limit on this road. Agricultural trucks would be exempt. We'd have to enforce it though, and that would be the big issue. We'd have to say to our law enforcement's gonna have to enforce the law that, this ton truck or trucks exceeding this tonnage that are non-agriculture can only be on this road on Tuesdays from this time to this time.
Right, so if we were to ask them, hauler, would that be too restrictive to you? Get their
And he's
opinion.
gonna say, yeah. So,
But,
Anything changing them from what they're doing now.
it's gonna say, yeah.
Right.
They're gonna have a problem.
right,
So, I think we, like I said, we should have this discussion within our committee, but I'm just starting to have some second thoughts about this, I really am.
about districts in general,
About the districts, about
restricting it.
being restrictive to business. I don't know if that's our nose to stick in there, if we have other avenues to protect. I mean, if that's one of the main reasons I was looking to do the districts, was to be able to say, you're gonna do this district on Tuesday, this district
Yeah.
on Wednesday, to
control
cut
it.
down that redundancy of truck traffic. But if
Right.
there's other means to do that, and maybe we don't have to jump through all these legal hoops and bounds.
Right.
The only thing that bothers me is, I got 5 trucks come all down Tuesday.
I understand, we
Wednesday
all do.
morning. Dead-end street,
Eddie, we all
on
do.
dead-end streets
We
now.
all do.
But they have to back up with the beepers.
We all do, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we
If
all
we
do.
can restrict it
Dead-end
by
streets are
saying,
different.
The thing
You
is,
can- you can only be on this road.
when I talk to New Paltz, what they've done really hasn't reduced the traffic that much.
Right.
So,
so that defeats the purpose.
it
then.
kind
I
of
think
defeats
if we
the
can get
purpose. So
more
maybe it's
control-
gonna take a while for that to,
But see, in a place like that, I wouldn't mind if they had a spot in the corner. I would walk roll
Yeah.
my garbage out to
So-
the end.
So would have
Yeah.
the other, rest of the town too. They've just all dropped it there. I had a long driveway once, I had people.
and now what is the supervisors of the town, the Ulster supervisors, what are they saying about this? I mean, they're all struggling with this, right?
No, I get you.
They're struggling with, because they don't know what the lawsuit or Waste Management's gonna sue, and they're waiting for the other foot to drop, so nobody's making a move.
I'm talking about New Paltz, right?
Yeah.
Mhm, right. So,
My car and another car can't fit.
so, it's a thorny subject, it's not an easy one to solve, and, James has been very active in it too, so I think,
I think most communities and townships are dealing with this, right? They're
Yeah.
kind of all like, where do we go with this? I don't think nobody wants to be in the garbage business, really. but-
no. And it would save people money, but on the other hand, you're restricting the businesses. We have 2 haulers in town who probably would not be competitive maybe, so
Yeah.
do we want to,
Shut out our own tax.
that would be tough, right? So, all those things we have to weigh.
I think it's gonna be a
It's a long road.
long road.
Plus, there's a recycling crisis about to hit us,
Yeah, so I mean,
I don't know.
Get stuck into that. Let's keep going.
Okay,
Moving on.
Got some issues, so I don't have any answers tonight. Sorry about that.
let's go to old business. So the sale of Tomback property, we got a proposal for a consultant for $1,200 from Bill Engineer to try to wrap it up, to how much the new rec center on Crossroad would cost. And in order to do that, he's asking the town, I think it's, all emails have been out for $1,200. I have no problem with it. Just suggest that maybe we slow down and find out what the school is, but once we get this whole thing, I mean, to do a work estimate, it's gonna be probably even more money if you look at it, right, as far as the excavation, the design, the engineering.
I mean, the reason he said he didn't really want to have to charge anymore, the reason is because he had to bring Hero in on it now, and he's the one that really has more of the expertise of where the costs are gonna lie in something like this.
And we have to have these before we
Yeah,
sell.
right.
Yeah.
He did apologize when I did talk to him about having to have to charge more, but he said Hero actually hit him up for more than he anticipated, but
So the cost estimate shall include total estimate cost for building construction, excavation, site work, sanitary treatment, stormwater system, and consultant fees. So I need a motion for me to sign this.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it,
$1,200.
I'll make the motion.
and I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right.
Opposed?
Yes, I'm opposed.
One opposed? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Design standards for Route 9W Corridor Overlay District. I think they're close, but no cigars, they say, right?
Yep.
LWRP, John submitted all the questions that the state had, and we're waiting on that from Barbara, who's the person that we've been contacting with the state.
Just got an email from him, 7:14 PM. He said he placed the revised documents in the Dropbox folder that Barbara Kendall from the Department of State had set up, so he's answered all the questions, so it's in her court now.
Right. So we're waiting on them now.
Now, yeah,
So Department of State,
yep.
Barbara Kendall.
And I just wanted to mention this, you guys saw that note about the scenic resource survey, which will happen in October 13th and 14th. And this is related to the LWRP. I believe the professor at Cornell who's doing this with the students knows John Behan and is familiar with his work, and that's how it's happening. I believe that's how it's happening. I don't know, maybe you know better.
Because he knows John?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're doing Highland and Poughkeepsie and Marlborough all at the same time. But that'll happen October 13th and 14th, so sounds like a good thing, see what happens.
Yeah. Sounds exciting.
Yep. The corridor study?
Yeah.
Corridor study, they needed another week, I think, or something. The consultant is asking
Yep.
for another week to finish up the added work that was asked of them to do by the Ulster County Planning, so.
I got them confused, so my bad. B, design standards, that's what the CAC is working for.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming along. Zoning changes, we're all confused, but that's okay.
It's not a big deal. We can clear it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it
It
something
wasn't a big fistouche or anything by the planning board. They just said, well, these two items, they look a little redundant, so we just need to clear it up. That's not a
Okay.
big deal. I think we
So-
get Tom involved, and he's responded to some of the emails, and
Okay.
We'll
So I
figure it
have
out.
to relate that once again to Mr. Blass, how to clean that up, right? Because then we have to go,
I think, yeah, I
we have
guess,
to introduce it again and go through 4 weeks of waiting again.
Well, let's talk to Tom tomorrow.
yeah, let's see what Tom said.
And let's make sure.
I can't believe Ron has refused.
I thought we had it down pretty good.
It shouldn't be that difficult. It's like, we all know what we're trying to say.
Right.
It's just a matter of where do you put it and how do you say it?
Right. Yeah, I think
Okay. Talk to Tom.
I don't know if you guys saw, he responded
Yeah,
to
I
an
saw he
email
responded.
late this afternoon or something like that, but, so, we'll figure it out.
So, since you're pretty familiar with, would you work with Tom to
Yeah,
see?
yep, I will, yeah, we'll work it out. And truthfully, I'm only familiar with it because I sat there at that meeting, and 20 guys from different planning boards in the county said, well, that looks a little redundant, so. And I couldn't say anything at the meeting because I'm not allowed to, but even if I had been able to say something, I'm not sure what I would have said.
I still don't understand that. Like, you would think the person sitting there that you're talking about.
They don't want you
could
to-
give some insight of what you're actually talking about.
It's a weird rule, but they're very strict about it. They don't want you to
I
influence it.
understand it to a point because they don't want you to influence in any way, but
You know, if somebody else were to come, they could have said something, but I, as the representative, can't say
I want to say, well, Howard, what the hell are you talking about here? Like, what does this mean?
I'm glad they didn't
answer it.
One meeting, please.
Come on, let's go. Moving on.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're on correspondence, and correspondence, everybody got the letter from Father Tom. We already discussed that, and we were just discussing the Ulster County Planning Board recommendations, how it's going to work with Tom, and filling in on the board on how to take care of this problem. It's not a big deal. Got a letter from Marlborough Central School District, telling the Marlborough School District Board of Education will welcome your presentation regarding improving the recreational facilities available to the Marlborough community at their meeting on Thursday, October the 4th, 2018. The meeting will be held at the Marlborough Community Room at 21 Milton Turnpike, which is this room. Please let me know if you will need any assistance with technology or any other setups. We look forward to the presentation, and that's by Michael Brooks. We might ask Mike if we can, we're gonna, they
I
have
hope we
theirs.
have the
They have theirs.
stuff up by then.
October, yeah,
We
could be, might.
If not, we need their projector. That's all.
And we have Marlborough Youth Football and cheerleading. We'd like to reserve the town park light field for youth football practice on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Dates, that's 6 to 8 p.m. And assume that we're good on that, Colin?
Yes, yeah, they're already in the book, as long
Okay.
as you approve it.
So I need a motion to,
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Second.
second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. That's correspondence, gentlemen. Public comment? James?
He sat closer just so he could get up here quick.
He just has sitting there. I'll see.
James Garofalo. First, I'd like to thank the board for extending the courtesy to the Newburgh people to be able to talk early. I hope you will do that in the future, as well to other people who want to make presentations.
It's always the same place. The presentations are always in that spot.
But that's because we're nice people, thank you.
No, but I have seen where
Number seven
Representative
is always
Giarantino came and he had to wait, and, so I certainly like to see that. Anyway, I would like to say that the recycling issue has already come to the transfer station, and there are already changes being made, such as they can't take black plastic, it has to go into the garbage, because Ulster County can't do anything with it. And this is one of the nice things about the pole that they have, that they can now fish some of that stuff out that people accidentally throw in.
Yeah, we bought a pole for $80 too, so we can fish that stuff out.
We talked to him today, Larry, said something about that, they needs a fence or something?
Oh, no, he's saying that it was undermining by the fence there, that we should do
That-
something like
that-
that.
that's-
Maybe put item.
We'll send Gail.
Okay, we'll have to ask Gail.
That's
or
something-
millings,
Okay.
Put some millings there.
Okay.
He likes what the highway department did with the millings.
Yeah, I know.
Millings work good, the item 40.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a very, where you dump the paper off on the left, there's a very steep decline, and it's being washed out, as well as part of the road from the trucks, highway department trucks coming.
We
So
have
they do
filled
need to
that
do a
in
little,
before.
little work up there.
Constant problem.
I wanted to ask a question as to whether or not, with regard to the rec station, whether the water main actually goes out that far, or whether they will need to bring the main out and then just do a connection, or,
The new rec building and stuff.
There's no water right now, there's no
Right.
rain.
You either put a main
That's
in or
on
drill a
Crossroad,
well.
right where Charlie wants to do the,
That would
right,
help.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
So
that
this
would
would
help.
serve another purpose
Yes.
to putting that main in, would be also, eventually you could connect to the
Absolutely.
recreation building.
although Charlie did say today that there's a 2-inch, that 2-inch pipe that they ran from the
Garage.
garage building at the school to the baseball field.
Right.
He said if we aren't required for sprinklers, it actually could serve the
Service the
purpose of the building also, even with the 2-inch, just for bathrooms and stuff, but
We'll see where it is.
Yeah, you might have to sprinkle that, anyway.
Way away from that.
Probably should spray.
The other thing I'd like to mention is you have these people looking at removing trees from the parks, et cetera. Maybe you should have them also look at the place where the water tank is to see if they could use these trees.
Pine trees, they wouldn't want them. They probably wouldn't want them. But anyway, we
Not
could
a pine tree.
Yeah, I'll think,
And I'm glad you brought that
yeah,
up.
brought that.
I forgot about the board
That-
about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
So, at the last meeting, I got a little confused, but I talked about this gentleman giving a quote for like almost $50,000 to take the trees out, and he had a contract, and the board approved me to send that contract to Rebecca Martin to look at it. But then
Who's Rebecca? Or,
attorney. We have
okay.
2 attorneys. So she's, but then you talked about a third?
no, what we talked, I'm sorry, what I think is, there's gotta, in his, does he have a permit or some, has the DEC, some agency, some other third party, have they looked at this? I mean, I would think that somebody has to make sure we're not cutting down endangered species or something like, there's gotta be some review by some.
Well, he gives a whole list of all the trees that they're gonna cut
Yeah,
down.
but do you know that those are,
Yeah, they're tulip trees, oak trees, white oak, usual
okay.
lumber trees. There's not
Ah.
much
I
protected.
understand what he's saying. If all of a sudden he comes to take these trees out, the DEC comes in and says.
Where are you taking these trees out?
No, I think that he gets probably a.
Well,
has
he's
to
saying
go
we need
through
to have
a
it on
permit.
file for ourselves.
He's gonna have to get
He has to
land
get a
clearing.
permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, Al. Does he have a permit from the
Okay,
DEC or
so
something?
that-
I
so-
think James made that comment as well, about the tree cutting. Yeah, some other, I'd hate for the town to be found out that they cut down some,
So we make the money, then we have to spend twice of it in legal.
yeah, and legal fees. And also, it's part of our, water district. It's right by the reservoir, right?
Right.
Right, so,
So basically,
don't-
you're looking for all the permitting
Yeah,
that is used for logging.
which I'm sure Rebecca's gonna look into
Yeah.
that too.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
then, I didn't want to spend the money and then come back and
Yeah, I know.
I misunderstood you guys and you wanted a dirt quote. We got 2 quotes now, I think it's.
No, not another quote, just
Okay.
somebody saying, yeah, you can cut down these trees, no problem. It's you're not violating any New York state law or something like that.
Well, you know what I can do? I could call the DEC also and say, we have these trees marked.
Yeah. They're forced,
They're all marked, they have an X on it and another
a range from that,
indication to cut it, below.
they're cutting it right down to the ground.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Okay,
I think that would be a great idea.
all right. Let me do that, do a little homework and then I'll send it to Rebecca. So then we go right to resolution. And we have one resolution, which is 69, and that's to approve proposition by the Sarah Hall Hollick Library. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following: notice of submission of questions to voters of the town of Marlborough at the next general election. Notice is hereby given that pursuant to New York State Education Law 529, 1 in and 13, in accordance with the provision of New York State election law, the following question will be submitted to the qualified voters of the town of Marlborough at the general election to be held on the 6th day of November 2018. Shall the annual contribution, thank you, of the town of Marlborough, I stayed up way too late watching that Packer game, for the operation budget of the Sarah Hall Hollick Free Library be increased by $20,000 to the sum of $152,500 annually, so that's $152,500. So it's an increase of $20,000. Further notice is hereby given, and that said election shall be held at the Town Hall and St. Mary's Hall in the town of Marlborough and on the 6th day of November 2018, and that the polls will be open on that day between the hours of 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. 9 p.m. 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The town clerk, town of Marlborough, and moves for its adoption.
Councilman Corcoran.
Just to clarify, right, we're only approving that it goes on.
Goes on.
To the election. We're not approving $20,000.
No, it's going to be
Right.
voted on. I have to
I
say
know that, but I just want to make everybody
Yeah.
out there to understand.
This is a referendum.
That we're not giving them the money.
was
You have
gonna
to
ask the
vote
same
on it, so
thing.
go out and vote. So- And I say yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes.
Just one question now before we can
Yep.
regarding voting, the primary on Thursday, 13th, Thursday?
13.
The voting places are where?
Just here.
Just here,
Just
because there's confusion.
No.
St. Mary's and here.
St. Mary's in
St.
here.
Mary's in here.
Just like a regular election.
So it's a regular?
Yes.
Okay,
St.
because
Mary's
last
in
time
here.
it wasn't like that, right? It was only
It
here?
was,
No, it's always at St. Mary's.
yeah.
But
District 1, 2, and 3,
the polls don't open till noontime.
St. Mary's. 4,
So-
5, and 6 in Milton.
So last year I sat here all day. I mean, there was voting at St. Mary's too,
Yeah.
for the primary?
We have to go to
No,
where your
that
district
was
is.
just the one primary. That was the Independence Party. Is
Oh,
that
yeah,
what you're
okay.
talking about? That was
Yeah.
just here.
That was here, right?
Yeah.
All right, so it's at both places?
It's a, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And it
Maybe,
starts at-
could we put that on the website? Could we ask Danielle to put that on the website? A
Oh, we
lot of
got it.
people ask me
I'll
about that.
tell them.
Yeah, we have it, we have it on
Yeah.
a poster
I
at the...
usually put it on the doors too, because people always come up and ask.
Yep,
so.
all right, great. Thank you.
Go ahead, Go ahead now.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Congratulations to the Browns for their, that's a win,